Something big is brewing in Vancouver as an insider reveals the Vancouver Canucks are consistently reaching out to the top free agent on the open market as they desperately look to fill their second line center position going into next season. We're going to break down multiple reports on this top free agent linking the Canucks to the top free agent left on the market, how he fits, and exactly how much he's looking for on the open market. We're going to break down all this and more in this episode. You're not going to want to miss it. Before we get into that, if you're part of the 66.2% watching this and you want to stay up to date on the Vancouver Canucks, where we give you daily updates on trades, prospects, rumors, reports, anything you can think of, you can find right here on Canucks Digest. So, going to hit that free subscribe button, and it helps a lot. But with that, let's just hop straight into the reports today, where we did get a couple. Now, before we get into the report on how much he's looking for and how he fits, and even more on the Canucks, we do have a report coming from Rick Dhaliwal, and he says, not sure where this goes, but the Canucks continue to talk with UFA Jack Roslovic and his camp. Now, we know the Canucks are desperately looking to fill the void after JT Miller left. We did videos on Mason McTavish and how he fits. We've touched on Jack Roslovic, but all signs are starting to point to the Vancouver Canucks going into next year looking like Roslovic will be the center. Now, diving into Jack Roslovic, 28 years old, coming off a 22-goal season with the Carolina Hurricanes. Yes, it's not the most productive. He has never played in a second-line center role. This could be very much a panic move from the Vancouver Canucks, and we will touch on the pros and cons of Jack Roslovic joining this team a little later. But right now, Jack Roslovic seems like the best option going into next season as the Canucks try to navigate if they want Filip Hronek to play there or it is Jack Roslovic. Now, going further in, Roslovic did play some center with Carolina last year, 54.1% on the dot, just under 400 attempts, total faceoffs the last season. Roslovic put up 39 points, playing just 13 minutes and 49 seconds. Now, if you're going to give him a bigger role, and I think this is what Jack Roslovic and his camps are really looking at, if you're giving him a bigger role, if he's jumping up to 15, 16, or 17 minutes time on ice, this number is going to jump a lot higher than 39% if he can continue to develop at this center position. Now, Roslovic could join this Canucks team and go out to put up 50 or 60 points, but is he the center that's going to kind of bridge them into finding the next one, or if Aatu ever develops into it? The Canucks team down the middle is a little weak, and probably a little weak is a bad word to say, as they're extremely weak down the middle with no clear-cut answer. Now, going into it, we know they traded Dakota Joshua to clear up cap space, 3.27 projected cap space million, of course, going into next year. And we do get an update from Cam Robinson going in to say it sounds like Roslovic camp is looking for a 2 to 3 year deal at just over $3 million. Now, if you fall back into it, the Canucks have this space. And as I said, what they have that's very enticing that a lot of teams don't have is the second line center position, where a lot of teams might look at Roslovic and say, hey, you're going to be a third line winger, a second line winger in a pinch. But the Canucks are offering him a position where you can come in, join this team, go into camp as most likely to take that center position, and it does give him the room to sign a 2 to 3 year deal, hit the open market when the cap continuously climbs, and get a bigger payday. Now, if you go further in, there's a lot of teams in on Jack Roslovic, and Cam Robinson says it perfectly. There are a few teams interested, but Vancouver seems the most consistent. My understanding is they have a couple options they're considering, though. Now, we know the Canucks have looked at every single available option. They've been going out to clear cap space. They moved Dakota Joshua for this reason. They acquired picks by moving on from Artur Shilovs to not lose him in waivers. We've seen Teddy Bluger's name linked in multiple trade talks, where we see them trying to clear out that extra $1.8 million. The Canucks are looking at bigger fish. Marco Rossi's name has been floated around. We've seen the reports of the Canucks made an offer that was rejected. We've seen Mason McTavish's name kind of float around as well. But the big thing is, if the Canucks aren't feeling confident to go out and sell the farm to get one of these guys, they want to kind of find a stopover gap. With a guy like Jack Roslovic, there is a bit of sense here, but I think they're looking at every available option until Roslovic signs. Now, if the Canucks are in the lead way, if they're leading the bids on Roslovic, there's only a matter of time before we get a clear picture on what they're doing. Now, if you look at the lineup with Roslovic in it, it doesn't look great, but it is a nice stopover player. This gives the option for Filip Hronek to slide into a third line wing position. Teddy Blueger can still stay there. Ratu at the fourth line. As bad as this middle looks down there, and we could be surprised, Roslovic could come in and look like a pure second line center, but the Canucks are banking on a lot. In my opinion, this feels like a bit of a panic move. You're looking at a lineup that right now has Elias Pettersson, Filip Hronek, Teddy Blueger, and Ratu down the middle. You add Roslovic to give you an extra option where you can kind of rotate between him and Hronek, but this is not a center core that, in my opinion, and listen, I would love to be proven wrong, that could win a Stanley Cup unless Roslovic really comes in or Filip Hronek steps up. This center core still needs to find that true number 2 center. Now, there is a lot to look at this. Like I said, you can get a stopover player. You can bring in Jack Roslovic. If he works at center, perfect. You get the top left free agent on the open market. You bring him in. He fills the void. You make the playoffs. You might win a Stanley Cup. Then next season, when every team is not trying to buy, you can really go out. You could get Roslovic, wait till trade deadline, then move on from Filip Hronek plus picks and prospects to bring in a true center, slide him straight into the wing position, and then you have a new lineup with Elias Pettersson, who's going to have a bounce back, and I'm betting on that. A new center with Roslovic taking over Filip Hronek's position. Things are getting very interesting. Now, this team on your screen right now, if the Canucks ran this 22 out of 23 current roster spots, they would still have just shy of 1.1 million. You move out Teddy Blueger and you're sitting at just about 2.9. That gives you more flexibility and options going in. Now, looking at this, when it says they're considering all options, I don't know if this is looking at another position in free agency that they can bring in. Currently, with the top free agents left, Matt Grzelcyk, 31 years old, the defenseman. We don't need more defense on this team, especially when you're looking at the left and the right side of this defensive core. With Pettersson and Derek Forward filling out, you don't even have Tom Willander or Mancini, so there's no point to make a big signing on a free agent defenseman. Where you can see Jack Roslovic leading the way in scoring for Forward with 39 points. Victor Olofsson would be cool, scoring 15 goals, but once again, not to center. You can work down where Luke Cunnin or Craig Smith, both available options, but Craig Smith, 35 years old, and Cunnin only went out to put up 18 points. Everything does seem like the Canucks are still going to try to find this position. It seems like it's going to be Jack Roslovic, or they're actively looking at a trade. When it comes down to it, I'm just worried the Canucks are in a bit of a panic mode. As a fan base, we want a cup. We deserve a cup. With this team, I do truly believe they are one center away on that second line from truly competing. And I think they can still compete at the Stanley Cup level. But the biggest thing with this, not the free agents, with the team itself, the wings are filled out. Evander Kane and Filip Hronek being added to that third line if you get a new center looks amazing. You still have your top 6 scoring in Garland, Boeser, Höglander, and DeBrusk, with PD having a bounce back with a good defensive core, with Thatcher Demko fully healthy. This team can make a run, but I am worried this management group, who has done a good job if they made a mistake, trade off players. We've seen it with Mikheyev, but I am truly worried this team might panic, go out to get Jack Roslovic, cap strap themselves, and not be able to make another move. But Canucks fans, what is your thoughts on this? What is your thoughts on the reports that they're continuing talking to the camp? The Canucks sound like they want to get it done on a 2 to 3 year deal, or Roslovic's camp wants this at least. And what is your thoughts on their cap space? How would you spend this? Would you wait to go into next year and maybe wait to see if a team's selling? Or do you think Jack Roslovic is the option for the Canucks to get and be a bridge over player where at this year's trade deadline or in the offseason next year, they could go out to get that true number 2? Let us know down in the comments. While you're down there, leave a like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We'll be back in another episode, so keep your eye out for that. But I've been your host, Mark. Bye, and take care, Canucks fans.